Hey gang, Ronan here, and as you can see, it's time for another adventure in World of Warships. Well, we'll jump right into it. The Jäger, of course, is a Tier 9 special premium in the European line. Strengths, great stealth, narrow torpedo spread, very fast torpedoes, and you can do a lot of spotting for your team, and that's what we're going to be highlighting today. And as you can see, that the spread on the torpedoes it's laser focused. So you've got an angled Friedrich de Grosse that just threw torpedoes out. He's angled actually pretty well, and you'll see a comment in the chat box there from him once he realizes what's about to happen. There they are. It takes 4 to finish him off. I think it was going to be a total of 6 or 7 that hit him. And that is one of the strengths, right? They're fast. You can't get out of the way of them. Once you spot them, it's too late. Speaking of spotting, that upper right corner, you'll see that number jump quite a bit. Now I'm skipping through because this is a compilation video, but ended up topping the scoreboard primarily, I think, with spotting damage, which was significant by the end of the game. You can see it's 215,000 now. And it gets a little bit higher before we're done. So I've highlighted Jäger before, so you know that it has torpedoes with great speed, and 86 knots is the base speed on the torpedoes with 12 kilometers range. You get that really narrow spread. You can make it a little bit wider. The wide spread on these is more like the normal spread on a lot of other torpedo destroyer lines. And all I'm doing right now is I'm throwing out torpedoes as they reload, which happens very quickly, and spotting. And it's allowing some of my teammates to kind of keep their distance and lob big shells from range. Yamato, he probably by now is realizing, oh, it's all over now. There wasn't a whole lot to this game other than the spotting. You know, as a game to be played, you could see the wider spread there for just a moment. Landed 10 torpedoes, which isn't bad, only 46,000 damage. Picked up the Combat Scout heroic achievement, which, you know, that's not nothing. It helped the team considerably, and since they've changed the XP rewards for spotting, you can see I topped the scoreboard primarily on the back of that and finishing off 2 ships. Tip of the hat to our Salem player and also the Massachusetts player, both who played a really strong game as well. There are the highlights, 243,000 spotting damage. I really didn't have a whole lot of threat to my ship at any given time. You can see the damage done to each of these individual ships based on my spotting. And we'll move on to the next game. So here we have Right on Target 1 and Selderhill in a division with the Katsonas and Jäger. And our hero is playing the Jäger. And Selderhill was in a recent video that I highlighted, actually sent in to me by his friend. And Right on Target has recently changed his name in the game to That Damned Jäger. Yep, he plays it that much. He really likes it. And I have to say, I understand why. I like it a lot too. I would probably play it a lot more than I do if I weren't putting videos together and needing or feeling the need to play a wider variety of ships. So 11 torpedo hits on a pretty well broadside Hanover, and he kind of keeps this position most of the game. You can see he spotted some torpedoes for his teammates there, Kurfürst, Riga, and Brisbane behind him, and he maintains this position for most of the game, which helps protect his team. His teammates have the benefit of the red ships feeling the threat of these torpedoes, which are essentially a more or less constant harassment. Now, there's smoke there, so pretty safe bet. You throw torpedoes in large numbers into that area, you're probably going to hit something. Hanover manages to accelerate out of the torpedo swarm. Kurfürst, not so lucky. He eats a couple. So while you're watching this play out, and is Kurfürst going to continue in a straight line? Well, if he does, it's going to be a very, very painful experience. I'll just read the World of Warships wiki blurb on the Jäger. In 1917, Austria-Hungary began working on a project to build a destroyer leader. A total of 8 leaders and 12 destroyers were planned for construction. Draft designs were submitted by Blom and Voss and Dons Danukius. The Austro-Hungarian Marine Technical Committee developed several projects. One of them, presented in 1917, as the Kurfürst goes down to torpedoes. That's now 18 torpedo hits. Several projects. One of them, presented in 1917, provided for the construction of a 2,000-ton torpedo boat, which was to be equipped with 6-inch main battery guns. However, with the end of World War I and the collapse of Austria-Hungary, the destroyers were never built. Now, these guns, unless something is very near dead, or you have a whole bunch of friends around you and there's very little chance you're going to be targeted, are best left unused, in my opinion. They don't do a whole lot of damage, and getting spotted in something with very little HP can get you killed. So that's my advice as far as the guns are concerned. There are a lot of destroyers that I would not say that. In fact, the majority of them. But in this case, these guns are pretty anemic. They're HE shells, 2200 HE max damage, but you've only got 3 of them. So the amount of damage you're going to do against, especially a heavily armored opponent, is pretty well negligible. And you can see the Riga there is pushing in, which is suicidal. I'm not really sure why he opted to do that, but he did, and he paid the price for that. This actually, despite the disparity in points, was up until this point a fairly close game. Put a couple more torpedo hits on the DK, and down it goes. And you can see our hero now has 184,649 damage. And that Napoli, although this is a heavily edited replay because this is a compilation of 3 different games, his luck runs out here. And this game is pretty well in the bag anyway. Got Selder Hill on the north end of the cap circle in the middle of the map, and he's trying to help out the Elbing up there. And the Napoli, well, torps to the face. 15,902 damage is enough to finish him off, and that's 3 total kills and over 200,000 damage for our hero. Great game, well played. And look at that, as he was heading north, he manages to spot the CV. And that is, as someone who plays destroyers quite a bit, I can say that this scenario is kind of a dream. It doesn't happen as often as most of us would like. Now, if you're a CV main, of course, you probably have a little bit different take on this. But it's now time for the torpedoes to sing you the song of their people. Briefly detected, but it's far too little too late. And that's the game. Really, really great game. Really great game. So 231,436 damage, general offensive division achievement, high caliber heroic achievement, 34 torpedo hits. That's phenomenal. A couple incapacitations, 4 ships sunk, a couple of buffs picked up, 8 floods. Really, really great game. Kudos for having held your position and really helped out your team on that flank. Came in second on the scoreboard, right on target and Selder Hill both second and third respectively. Kudos to Gordy 301 and the Montana, who also had a really strong game. It was quite an effort. Congratulations on the win. You can see the damage was spread out amongst these 5 ships pretty big damage on all 5 of them. And the damage was 100% torpedo related. Great XP, and on to the next game we go. Now this, I titled it When Sharks Attack, and it's again our hero. And I apologize for not having sound here. I really honestly don't know what happened to the sound. What I can tell you is that this is a replay from, I think, at least a couple of updates ago. So there's no way for me to re-record it. So I had to go without sound. I have to hope that the visuals will suffice. The primary lesson here is that with this ship and a couple of others, although this one may be the best at it, due to the nature of the ship having incredibly low detection radius and additionally pretty long range torpedoes that move really, really fast. And this shill, he's moved into a position that is often taken by cruisers at the beginning of the game, but it really only works if you have a destroyer out here on your team. I mean, if there was a red destroyer out here where Right on Target is located right now, spotting for you. If you don't, well, the opposing team can do exactly what our hero has done here. He's pushed this flank. He got the broadside of the shell, finished it off with torpedoes. 6 torpedo hits right out of the gate. And yeah, it really is hunting wabbits here. Yeah, I threw the Jaws theme sound effect visual up there just so you had something playing in your head. Thanks for the earworm, right? And Shikishima, amazing guns, but you know how you can't outrun these torpedoes. You just can't. Not at this range. And with a 5.4 kilometer detection radius, there's just no way without air support for Shikishima and Kurfürst to really stand a chance. Now, the torpedoes, I know I've mentioned this in other videos, at least one, probably multiple videos. The 12 kilometers range, but the torpedoes only do a maximum of 7,533 damage. But you have so many of them, right? You got so many torpedoes. You got 4 racks with 3 in each rack, so you're able to throw out 12 torpedoes at a time. And if you land the majority of those, as our hero has, or even half of those, well, then the 7,533 damage each is really not that bad. If you land, say, 6 of those, well, that's 35,000 damage, right? Excuse me, 42,000. And just inside of hydro range, gets back out of hydro range. 1 volley of secondaries to avoid here. Takes a little bit of chip damage. Another strength of this ship, you know, it has a pretty low base HP, but it has a heal. So the base HP, 15,900, and I believe our hero has configured his ship to really maximize the effectiveness of the torpedoes. I think on my Jäger I run with a little bit more HP, but here's another example. The torpedoes, well, they move just this side of the speed of sound, and White Orbit in the GK, well, he just doesn't really have much of a chance, as our hero is briefly detected by aircraft here, and the secondaries get a chance to go to work, but it won't last long. Right, so down he goes. And unfortunately for him, his secondaries, well, they essentially provide a nice fireworks display for us to celebrate. And we're going to jump ahead here in just a second. You're going to see that Right on Target essentially he's crossing the map here. You remember he started at the Alpha Cap, and he's been chasing these battleships across the map, finishing them off one at a time, and providing vision for his team, which prevents the red team having much of a chance to flank. And this map, with all the islands running kind of diagonally, does provide some flanking opportunities, particularly late in the game, for long-range fire. Now, all the way across the map to the Charlie Cap, and who does he see? And yep, imagine that Jaws music playing again. It was a little surprising to me that the FDR player just kept going in a straight line, uh, but he did. And our hero rightly figured that he might at some point realize that he was spotted and begin to turn and or slow down and threw the torpedoes out accordingly. And it just was really just a perfect drop. And you can see now the FDR is slowing down. It's probably just became aware because he's trying to control his aircraft as he makes a run on the Yamato back there that I may be in trouble. And there it goes. And another 8 torpedo hits. That brings the total to 34 torpedo hits and a capture of the cap. Now, you would think that's enough, but no, there's more. He's going to run in, help in the Bravo cap. And yep, Harp Yamato, you did all you could as the Kraken Unleashed pops up, and it really is phenomenal gameplay. Couple of caps and a Kraken Unleashed, couple devastating strikes, 37 total torpedo hits, picked up incapacitation. Taking a look at the team score, well, as you might imagine, 2,433 base XP tops the scoreboard. Spread the damage out amongst 5 different ships. Just chip damage on the Yamato to finish it off. But everything else really, really just smashed things. A great game and a great ship. And if you like torpedo boats, this one might be really, really good for you. It's one that I would recommend. It's on a short list for me of premium destroyers that I think might be worth spending a little bit of money on if you don't pull one out of a crate, if you enjoy this type of play style. Quick look at the credits and XP, almost 1 million credits, great XP, obviously running some bonuses. And that'll do it. I hope you enjoyed this compilation, and if you did, I hope you'll like and subscribe, maybe tell a friend, and I'll see you next time.